Let's jump to this story. This is from the Post Millennial. Pathetic. Laken Riley's mom blasts Biden for butchering name of daughter killed by illegal immigrant gang member in State of the Union address. Biden does not even know my child's name. Now, here's the here's the important thing. Democrats are furious right now over this. They are furious over this. That Joe Biden would say illegal. No, I'm not kidding. Democrats are outraged that Joe Biden said killed by an illegal or killed by illegals.
Yeah. You saw Nancy Pelosi.
What did she say?
Oh, yeah. She said she wishes he didn't use that term.
I agree, though. I completely agree with Nancy Pelosi. I am offended, and I wish Joe Biden did not use that term.
Did you see the reporter that asked him?
I wish Joe Biden did not say illegal. He should have said criminal, alien, rapist, and murderer. Okay? Stop protecting criminal aliens by calling them illegals. I hate that term. Like defining an immigrant as illegal makes no sense. I don't understand. It makes no sense. If someone is like shoplifting, we don't call them an illegal shopper. It doesn't make an illegal shopper came by today. No. What shoppers are fine. It's a shoplifter. Call him a border breaker at the very least. You know what I mean? But I think rapist and murderer is fitting, and you could put criminal alien in there. So I agree with Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, don't call them an illegal.
Yeah. The AP News ran this headline that was like, Biden says her name, and then there's like a hyphen in Laken Riley at the request of Marjorie Taylor Greene, which I think is funny because they're trying to cover up the fact that he very clearly said Lincoln. Yeah. Which you had one job, right? You knew the entire country.
You had a pen with her name on it.
I just don't understand. I don't understand how we got here where you had one job. You had weeks, months to prep for this. This case happened, a couple weeks ago. It's fresh on everybody's mind. You knew you were probably going to have to reference this, and you could not get this person's name right.
Let's play it.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal.
Oh,
did you see Benny Johnson posted the guy asking Biden, the reporter, do you regret using the word illegal to describe immigrants? And Biden's like, I don't regret. I technically not supposed to be here. I think I did justice to how he said it.
That's exactly. He's going to filibuster his way out of this by verbal slurs.
He wouldn't say he didn't regret it, and he didn't say he regrets it, but he did reinforce that they're not supposed to be here, technically. I don't know why he said technically.
What's he going to do about it? He's the one who gave them parole. The border, the 10 million people have come across, more like 15 million in the last 3 years. I mean, this is all on Joe Biden, and I think this is what concerns me, the State of the Union address, where so many Americans just watch that and they're not keeping up with everything. And they say, oh, maybe the Republicans are unreasonable. That's maybe the takeaway that they're going to come out of that, which is scary. So that's why Republicans have to keep dominating this message. And President Trump's been doing a very good job at it because, it's no longer, it's not just the border states. I'm from Arizona and we see it all, directly, but the burglaries that are happening with a lot of the affluent homes, but now you're seeing murders and rape of an innocent girl who's just going to nursing school.
On college campuses, right?
That's crazy. On her college campus, she went for a jog. And the presumption is this guy, Jose Ibarra, was trying to rape her. But when she fought back, he bashed her face in to the point where he smashed her skull. And I'm hearing, I've been hearing this on Twitter that she was still alive when they found her.
Oh, wow.
She was unconscious, but she was declared dead at the scene.
Wow.
Okay.
There's also a charge he's charged with preventing someone from making a 911 call. So there's an idea that perhaps he was chasing her or whatever. She tried to call the police and he, took her cell phone or something. So it's a really awful story. And I remember the day that this came up, that UGA had a suicide on campus a couple days before. So it was a weird headline initially, like there's a second student found dead. What's going on there? And then within 24 hours, the person had been identified, and it's, obviously he hasn't been tried or anything, but it's believed to be this illegal immigrant who's in the country who crossed the border in 2022 under the Biden administration. Like, he was known to this government to be in this country illegally. He was also arrested in New York, and then he was arrested obviously after allegedly murdering Laken Riley in Georgia. So it's something where along the way, several different forms of law enforcement failed, right? And Joe Biden doesn't even know her name. That's crazy to me.
And he looks at the pen, Lincoln Riley. Wow, there's leadership for you. He cares so much.
He really cares. He cares about women, especially here on International Women's History, or it's Women's History Month or whatever. Like, it's so heartless. And again, this is
International Women's Day.
It's International
Communist holiday.
That was like last week, I think. But the thing is, it's so the Biden administration to be like, we're the party that cares about you, and this other party, they hate you and they hate the future. Now, we don't want to talk about the service members that we put. It's today.
Yeah, it's the communist holiday.
Well,
yeah, it was Russian revolutionary communists who started it.
And none of the men in the room wish me a happy Women's Day.
Yeah.
So I'm offended.
You'll never get me there. Never.
And you're the most feminist one in this room. I think. I don't want to speak for you.
I'm old school feminist though, like second wave, when it was just about equal opportunity.
Ugh, it's all horrible.
It's where it begins and ends.
No, but this is the Biden administration, right? They're like, we really, really care about women. We care about our young people. Please join our military. Also, if you die because of us, we will never talk about you again.
I'm anti all wave feminists. All of them.
Anti?
Yeah, I oppose all of it.
But that means that you buy it.
What?
If you found that you're anti it, that means you accept it.
What is it? What does that mean?
What?
In order to oppose something, you have to accept its premise.
No, you don't. What?
Yeah, otherwise it wouldn't bother you at all. You'd be wouldn't even be any of it.
Opposing a thing that exists that has resulted in women getting civic privileges without civic responsibility is sure, like it exists. What does that mean?
Concepts?
I acknowledge that the thing is a thing.
I think if you become anti a concept, you're actually empowering the concept. You're
Because
better
you're
to focus on
acknowledging that exists.
Yeah, you're better to focus on things that you like that are different than that thing you want to not be.
There's like Ian sitting in a room and he's on fire and he's like, as long as I don't say I'm on fire, I'll be fine.
The fire can't win if I don't acknowledge
concepts like feminism, the ideas.
Right. So what happened with feminism was the initial argument at the turn of the century was civic responsibility in exchange for equal civic access. And the women said no. And then a bunch of weak men said, how about we give women all of the privileges and other responsibilities? And they went, you got it. I oppose that. I think women should have the right to vote. I think women should work. But along with civic privileges and access comes civic responsibility, meaning so long as men have to enlist for the draft, if women should have the choice. You want access to the vote, you want jobs, you want all that stuff, you got to do the exact same thing as everybody else. Otherwise, that's why I'm like, you know what, fine, screw it. Bring on the Equal Rights Amendment. Let's make it enshrined in the Constitution that there cannot be legal distinction between males and females. And then every single woman, this is why they don't pass the ERA, by the way, because it would mean that women have to sign up for the draft and they don't want to do it.
For sure. I don't want to be drafted at all. I also don't like the ERA because, and this is a Phyllis Schlafly argument that I covered last year when I was writing profiles for Women's History Month. As she pointed out, it doesn't make men and women equal. It abolishes the concept of the differences between the gender. And I don't want to live in a genderless world. I think genders are different. We see this from the minute babies are born. They show preferences for different things from less than 24 hours old. So why would we pretend otherwise? Genders are good. They can be complementary, but they definitely exist. Happy International Women's Day to you.
Yeah. So I don't see what would your argument for feminism be, Ian? Do you think that it's okay for one class of people to be given privileges with no responsibility? Or would you agree with me that women should bear equal responsibility to their nation in exchange for equal access and privileges?
Well, equal rights doesn't mean you have to do the same thing as the other person. So like the right to vote doesn't mean that we all have to go fight in war, I don't think. But civic responsibility, yeah, like the women during the World War II.
We can agree there. So then, should men no longer have to enlist in the selective service? Sign up for it?
No.
They should?
I don't like drafts, but no, I don't think that they should stop.
You would agree then that there is a problem with feminism thus far, and the remedy would either be women must sign up for the draft or men must have no responsibility, no longer have to sign up for the draft.
No, I don't think military draft is a delineation for that. For men and women in feminism. Like, I don't think women should have to get drafted into the military.
What's the equivalent to getting drafted to the military?
The equivalent?
Like you were saying, they don't have to do the exact same thing.
Getting impregnated and going through 9 months of hell with carrying that thing around?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a really weird way to describe what many
talk about going through like near death
and beauty.
The amount of pain that you suffer giving birth. I would imagine that that's about as traumatic for the female.
Yeah,
but also, it's also awesome.
So you're arguing that every woman at 18 should be force impregnated by the government?
No, I did not argue that.
Okay, well then what's your point?
Women only get their right to vote when they have a baby? Which I think is an interesting
Hey, all right, let's go, Ian.
Ian is like bumping up the birth rate over here. I love it.
No.
You either have to join the military or get pregnant, and men can't get pregnant, so that's only
You mean like what's a good version of compulsory service that a woman could
like you were saying they don't have to do the
military?
same thing to get the right to vote. They should all have a responsibility to their country. And I'm just wondering like what the equivalent to entering the draft would be. for women. And if you're saying you have a baby, I mean,
Could,
maybe we should talk about this.
why do you think it's acceptable that in our country, the government would say we grant extra privileges to one class of people based on their biological sex? Like that seems antithetical to what the actual argument of feminism is. So if the reason why I say I oppose all of the waves of feminism is because in terms of a philosophy, on the surface, the Mott and Bailey would be, oh, we just want equality for women. And then I respond with, okay, so women should be drafted. No. And then women recoil instantly and say no to that. Because feminism in practice is not equality. It's privileges. Of course, only an insane person would argue for a true equality. Everyone's going to argue for privileges all the time. Why would you say you are in favor of the government creating special classes of people who get extra benefits without responsibility?
Well, I don't think that they should have ever not had the right to vote. Maybe, I don't know if ever is the right word, but that they didn't have the right to vote in 1840 is insane.
So the issue going back, we go back in time. The issue with the voting actually is really simple. Do you live here? Yes or no? You don't? Okay, well then you can't vote on what we're doing. When the towns are very small, it's like 100 people. You're voting on like, should we all come together and put a new road here? Do you live here? You do? Okay, what do you think? You don't live here? Well, then you have why are you telling us what we should do with our road? And so then it comes to the point of, should women vote? Well, it's like, well, the women aren't the ones who are building the roads and going and fighting to defend them. So it's just the guys are going to decide whether or not they want a road where they're going to be working. And then we come to this change with the Industrial Revolution, and we're like, women don't. We're no longer in an era where people are all landowners. Some people are renters now. Some people live with someone else, and they should have a say in their community because they do live there and they've lived there for their whole lives. And not every woman is with a man, and some women are working. So we recognize, okay, women should be allowed to vote. I completely agree. Women should be allowed to work. Completely agree. And with that comes the same responsibilities of any other human being in civilization: fire brigade, law enforcement, military, compulsory military service. But instead of actually, and that was the argument initially. The initial argument with suffrage was, sure, women can have the right to vote and they'll get drafted. And then the anti-suffragettes were like, we don't want to be in the fire brigade and we do not want to go fight in wars. So we will happily sit back. And then a bunch of weak men were like, hey, if we tell the women we'll give them the right to vote, they'll vote for us. And there you go. Now you have women in this country don't have to be drafted, but get all of the privileges with being a full-fledged member. I think that's wrong. I think that's anti-feminist. I think that's opposing the general ideology of equality. So
you prefer to draft women, and
women can work in many different ways in the military. I'm not even saying combat. Pregnant
women?
Of course they can.
What about women with small children at home?
Yes, they can.
You would draft them?
100%.
What would the kids do? Where do the kids go?
So you know that there are people in the military right now who have kids.
Where do the kids go?
And daycare.
So you'd send families, children to daycare. Who'd pay for the daycare?
The government, the military.
You're going to expand government pay services to draft women into service and send their kids off to daycare?
When the draft is called upon because of a legitimate threat to this country, because my ideology is not predicated upon corrupt people sending people to foreign wars for profit. That's BS.
No,
I'm talking about
Vietnam.
Sure, and we're talking about turn of the century. We're talking about World War I, World War II, which you can arguably say we should not have been involved in. But if you were to conscript women, it could be like, we need you to work in a factory producing materials and refining.
While your kids go off to daycare?
Welcome to war, my friend. When bombs are being dropped on your houses, then by all means, I am not going to sit here and listen to someone tell me that I have to die for them and they do not have the same responsibility.
Welcome to being a man, dude. You protect your women and children. That's how it is.
And guess what? The people who don't go to war don't tell me what to do. How about this? How many members of Congress have proposed a bill that if you want to fund a war, you have to go fight in it?
I love that idea, personally.
Absolutely. So why am I going to say, you don't have to go fight in the war, but you can certainly tell me how I have to fight and when I have to die?
Well, you're just saying how pro-draft you are. But now you're saying you're anti-draft.
No. I'm saying, why would someone who is not in the military get the right to tell me to die for them? By force, by compulsion of the U.S. of the U.S. law enforcement coming and threatening to take away my freedom. And there's a whole class of people, half the country, more than half, who get to vote to send me to die. And they have no responsibility. Now, of course, the responsibility was they're going to have families and raise kids, but that's not what's happening. So there is an imbalance in equality. Anyway, we can move on to a different subject.
Are you going to draft women? Do you want to talk about this?
Well, I think we can, if you look at what's happening right now, women are under attack, but ironically, it's by the liberal Marxists who are transforming. If women try to compete in sports, they have to compete with men. It's very bizarre, this idea that women and men have the same biology so that they can compete in the same sports. But I'm really, if you see what's going on, I just saw Riley Gaines' interview too. I mean, it's so tragic that the feminist movement that you're talking about, how it's been transformed, and I think it's actually going against women. And,
no, it is. It's erasing feminism.
Right. And so what's purpose is it serving right now? So, I feel as if women right now are being under attack by these liberal Marxists who are trying to basically make everybody equal. And now they're actually propping up this other class of transgenders who are now competing in sports. So, I've never talked more about transgenders ever in my life except the last 3 years. And I think that's purposeful. The Marxists are trying to win this war on our minds right now, where they're trying to erase the gender, what gender actually is.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.